Building awareness and the skills for kin relationality. Uriah Seligman's Flourishing Kin, Indigenous Wisdom for Collective Well-Being. We do a lot of work on somatic mindfulness, and she's also doing a lot of work on somatic mindfulness. And what do we have in common? What can we enrich our experience through some of what she's working with and broaden our experience and understanding of body awareness? So they see the body as a seed of knowledge, and our body interacts with its environment. Talking about intergenerational trauma and resilience experiences that come through the body seed, as they call it. That happens in our body. So there's a lot of commonalities I find in how we're looking at and approaching the secular somatic mindfulness to the Indigenous wisdom around this. Our body experiences its own phenomena as relationships. We are a body in and of communities, and we respond within ourselves to each other. So that makes sense. But the body experiences its own phenomena as relationships. Let's sit with that for a moment. One of the things that might come up is around trusting people. So we have a relationship with other people based in part on what's happening in our own nervous system, which may or may not have anything to do with the person that we're in relationship with now. Certainly there's some commonality there, but a lot of it has to do with our own history. And that our sensations, emotions, thoughts, and actions are not a part of us, they make us. We are the sheer fabric through which these experiences flow. Our sensations, emotions, thoughts, and actions make us who we are. What is your sense of that? What part of you is the sheer fabric through which these experiences flow? And what's your sense of they make us? Our experiences make us. They're not just a part of us, it's actually how we begin to form a self, might be one of the ways to put that. And that in Indigenous science, the body as a seed of knowledge is rooted in relationality. To really develop stronger kin relationality, we need certain skills. There's so much common ground here. Somatic mindfulness. So she's talking about awareness of our physical ease, arousal, or rest. So are we in hypervigilance, fight, flight, freeze? And then adapting that flow for the generation of balance, which we would call nervous system regulation. So we become aware of what's going on, primarily in our nervous system, in our body, and then we work with that to come into balance. Emotional finesse, building trust in the community, embracing the diversity of life, and accepting the changes in states and perceptions with gentleness. If we're in a heightened state of fear, we tend to not have a lot of grace and acceptance. So she brings in ecological humility, awe at the vastness of nature. And that's something that many of us feel. It's in our awareness, the awe at the vastness of nature. You might even bring up some memory of that. Maybe something came to mind right away. Maybe something like the stars at night. And then the cognitive, we use our left brain, we figure things out, we analyze our body's response to the environment. And we also use that faculty to intentionally discern environmental well being. We're engaged in noticing what's going on with the environment. Character development, that as we feel more connected, And as we build these skills, we are more interested in the benefit of the larger community, more curiosity with people, and we have a more of a service orientation, kindness, gratitude, and regulated through self kindness and gratitude for the body as a relational universe. I think this is another one of these examples of medical science. Loneliness as an epidemic. And in fact, we are proving through that kind of thing that we need each other. And yet, that's an Indigenous wisdom and a wisdom that it really makes sense that we need each other. But that we have this gratitude that we're in a body that can relate with Mother Earth, with each other, with ourselves. And then as we develop those skills and become closer in again, the ethical mastery, we have more of a care and concern for our environment. And this one, that the actions and care of our bodies are the same as those that Mother Earth requires. So our bodies are not separate. We need fresh air. We need clean water. Those are the same as all other bodies need and as Mother Earth needs as well. So as we build this capacity and feel more connected, we appreciate others, and there's this desire and also actions that we take to alleviate collective distress. And I know for myself, sometimes I go into kind of a numb or a freeze and I get kind of selfish. I just need a break from this. It's too much. And my capacity for coming back in happens a lot sooner. I have more resilience now. This is part of what's going on, is that the somatic mindfulness, coming back to that, is that we really get it. I can monitor what's going on in my body. I can intentionally reach out to other people, other beings, to Mother Earth. I don't have to hide away from that. And that I don't have to feel like it's all on me to fix everything. That's something that I think a lot of people carry quite heavily. And also that what's good for us is also good for everyone. There's kind of a selfishness at times when we don't have the capacity to be regulated and to reach out to other people. It feels like I need to fix this for myself. I can't be in this situation. There's a lot of personal concern with a lot of the Indigenous, especially around kin relationality. There's a real knowing that we're not on our own. So we don't have that loneliness. There's a lot of fear around being alone and having to cope with what's going on. We do this in community. She had a sentence in the book, trusting nature as deeply as we trust our own bodies. And that one really caught my attention. Do we trust our bodies? And again, with this flow of I'm beginning to know my body, I'm not as disconnected from it, I'm beginning to appreciate it more, and that would naturally flow into trusting nature more. But what are we trusting nature to do? Are we trusting nature to never hurt us? Sometimes we might have kind of an adversarial response to nature when it's really cold or really windy, or there's certainly weather patterns that can harm us or threaten our survival. So we have this ongoing relationship within our body in our sense of belonging in the world. As we belong more to ourselves, we feel that connection more in the world. Nurturing our bodies like seeds, feeding them kindness, respect, and a life of meaning. And that just like seeds need soil and water and sunshine, our bodies rely on relationships to thrive. If you were to bring to mind some of the relationships that help your body to survive, might be your relationship with eating or food. What else supports you? Certainly, relationships with other people. If we're feeling really isolated and afraid and alone, and we find other people that we trust, that we can connect with, that helps our body to thrive. We come up out of that survival mode. What are some of the components of that right environment that you have in your life, or that maybe you would like to invite in more of? And then bring that to mind in your body for a moment. What are some of the environmental factors that your seed needs to really thrive? And then let yourself kind of feel into that. When you think about good growing conditions, does your body relax? Do you take a deeper breath? In learning about our nervous system and in our response within our nervous system, when this seed sprouts, it becomes awareness that helps us manage fear, recognize our shared humanity, and open ourselves to kindness and care. That this awareness of our connection lessens threat reactivity. So we don't feel as vulnerable when we are in relationship as we do when we feel isolated or disconnected. One of the effects of trauma is that we disconnect from our bodies. That really makes sense. We also don't connect with other people as well or in as healthy of a way, and we don't connect or trust nature. And we don't care about it as much because we put it outside, we put it over there. And that as we develop this better environment for our bodies, including relationships with other people and relationships with nature, that automatically helps us to reduce the level of threat that we feel. And this is a lot relating to evolution as well, that people banded together in small groups to protect themselves from animals and also from other people that were hostile. We trust ourselves and we trust nature and we trust our relationships. The more that we trust that, the more that we feel more safe and more comfortable in our world. She speaks about growing this awareness. So we observe our internal experience and how society shapes us, which is what we were just been working with. And that is what enables us to experience things as they really are in this present moment. A lot of times in the daily practice, we begin by looking around the room and noticing, am I safe? What are my cues of danger? And what are my cues of safety? And that allows us to experience things as they truly are in the present moment. Our neuroception becomes more accurate. So she's saying we naturally respond with kindness, love, and awe. And we return to a peaceful state of presence where anything is possible. The body, like a seed, holds compassion. And this makes sense to us as well. Our emotions are different around people we love and trust and care for than they are with someone who we sense means us harm. And that could be on an individual relational basis, families, local communities, on a larger stage as well. The way that Indigenous science works, but also the way that Indigenous relationality, the way that people are in relationship with themselves, Mother Nature, and each other, it's much more seen as all one, that there's an awareness of our interdependence and that we are alike, we're kin. Again, this feeling of kinship, of I'm not alone in this, is part of what helps us to reduce the level of threat and overwhelm because we know that there are other people who are interested in doing similar kinds of work as we are around the environment, around social justice issues. This helps us to feel safer because we are safer in community than we are when we're out on our own. There is no human flourishing without Mother Earth flourishing first. And somehow in this disconnection, we've forgotten that as Mother Earth flourishes, so do we. And as Mother Earth is in danger and in distress, so are we. So, all the work that we're doing over time throughout our whole life and through getting together in this community, that's part of what we're really doing is flourishing. As she says, compost defeating narratives. We look at core deficiency beliefs, we look at social anxiety, we look at ways to be more trusting and more safe with each other. And if you go into the small groups, we practice that. So we become this expression of our spirituality and our medicine. And by liberating the body from these narratives of isolation, we need to do that in order to flourish collectively. Because if we're considering other people as a threat, we're going to hunker down, band together. This is not in any way meant to minimize the threat that is there, especially right now. There's a lot of harm going on in the world. There's a lot of people who are harming other people deliberately and creating laws and doing things that make it a lot scarier for us, especially if you're in one of the groups that they're targeting. So if you're a rich white man, not so much. But if you're like the rest of us, there's a real threat here. I would never minimize that. And we also need to find ways to come together, recognize our own strength, our collective power, and that is how we're going to flourish together. That we need to come out of isolation. Part of what that means is we need to be able to regulate our nervous systems enough that we can approach people and connect with people through our hearts instead of, I don't think I trust you. Our experiences with other people are not going to be perfect. Oftentimes, people are selfish, or they're not paying attention when they're driving. They're in a fight response and they say something that's mean, and we respond because of our own history. Or maybe we say something that's mean out of a fight response. It's not a Hallmark card kind of a world. It's a real world that we're in, that there's a lot of danger, there's a lot of ways that we're hurt. And what are we going to do with that? So we need to come back into some kind of connection and stability. Noticing that when we get together, even if it's in my own heart, I'm going to work with connecting with this person with compassion, flexibility, and letting people be who they are, and not sucking up and not fawning and not going along with things that we don't agree with. We could still be very strong and powerful in terms of our activism, whether that's in our personal relationships or out in the larger world. To recognize we flourish through relationships. That is how we build the strength and power to be flexible, to bend if we need to, stay strong together. I can remember being in demonstrations where we linked arms at the elbow because that is a stronger way to stand than one person on their own. Sit with that for a moment. What is it that helps you to bring in your knowing of strength, to build strength and resilience? So there might be thoughts coming in of being isolated and alone and being afraid. And if that's here, that's what's here. Let's take a moment to feel into the inspiration of creating this collective awareness, human flourishing, Mother Earth flourishing, the care that we can offer through our hearts to each other, and within this network of knowing that we are part of this and that we create and we participate together. Feel that in your body. Participate in the creation of collective spirit awareness, flourishing together.